Continuing our trend of revisiting old indie horror games, Hello Neighbor is a game that's quite infamous. While with other games I've either done a challenge or simply revisited them for the sake of completion, this video will be a bit different as a critique of how this once promising game holds up in our current day. With that out the way, sit back, relax, grab a snack, and enjoy this rant on one of indie horror's biggest tragedies, Hello Neighbor. Starting off with the game's first act, let's get one thing out the way. This game is janky and buggy. I even got stuck not even 2 minutes into the game. Our goal for this act is to obtain the red key and enter the neighbor's basement, with the location being shown in the starting cutscene. While this game aims to be a horror game, it feels far from it when all you're doing is parkouring and stacking boxes, which this game loves having you do, by the way. It got to a point where I ran into the neighbor only 2 or 3 times within the entire first act. The basement itself is even worse. The worst part about it is powering the generator towards the end. To power the generator, you have to jump over the gate blocking it. The only problem being, your jump isn't enough on its own, and you need something to help you get over. Now, there for sure is a simpler and intended way of getting to the generator, but does the game at least point you in that direction? Not at all. I usually use these light panel things to hop it, but with how janky this game's physics are, it takes a while just to get them into place. After the world's most meaningless chase sequence, the act ends and we move on to Act 2. Act 2 has us now trying to escape the neighbor's house rather than break into it. Now the biggest problem with this act and the game going forward is the puzzles and how you are given little to no sense of direction. There are 3 methods of escape in this act, and I went with the easiest one being the red key route. For this one, you need to make this water tank burst outside, empty the pool in the upper floor, solve the dollhouse puzzle, and finally obtain the red key. For some reason, the devs expected you to be some sort of genius attempting to solve these puzzles. I remember spending so much time on my first ever playthrough trying to figure out where the final valve location was just to empty the pool. The shovel's use is very straightforward, at least, with a patch of dirt in the backyard insinuating its use. The dollhouse though, this puzzle was just stupid. You would assume an item would be hidden inside the dollhouse, right? No! The doors in the dollhouse can be opened, which correlate to locked doors in the house. Now sure, you might be able to figure this out if it wasn't for them being on the opposite side of the house and all the other locked doors in the house. To grab the red key, you need to head up the ladder in the attic by the dollhouse, and you better hope you haven't tossed away that valve. No, not that valve, the other red valve. Fill up this random pit in the attic, go to the boiler room in the attic, not downstairs, and switch it from hot to cold. Grab a box and head up to the frozen pool of water, use the box to reach the door, and finally grab the red key. Then after all of that, you can finally escape this guy's house. One thing this game could really benefit from implementing, other than just overhauling this whole thing, is a trash icon near items that no longer have use, similar to that of the Resident Evil remakes. It's so easy to toss an item that you would assume you've used completely just for another use to randomly appear in an area where you wouldn't even have thought that you need it. Again, I barely ran into the game's main antagonist the entire run, only being caught a couple times when I was outside or when he randomly showed up. This, alongside the box parkour, is just a reoccurring issue with this game, so there's no point in beating around a dead bush. Let's just move on to Act 3. Me when I have to play Hello Neighbor again. Also, I got off the shower like an hour ago, so I look like shit. I'm gonna shut up so you can hear what I have to say about this god-awful game. Act 3 is by far the most ambitious and the most disappointing. The house is nearly tripled in size with a multitude of new puzzles to solve. Again, the problem of having no sense of direction is prominent. Our goal here is to unlock the basement door once again and enter inside. I will say, it's more straightforward than some of the puzzles in Act 2, as you will find items like the crowbar and the magnet gun simply by just exploring. This act also introduces special powers that you can obtain through what are known as the Fear minigames. These minigames are just stupid. Starting off with the Fear supermarket, you need to put 5 items in your shopping cart and make it to the end without being caught. You gain the power of invisibility if you crouch and sit still. This power is a bit jank and does take some time to activate, and outside this minigame, I've had one singular use case. The puzzle in here is pretty straightforward, I will say. All you need to do is take a peek into the mannequin's shopping carts and see what items they have. Placing the items into the cart is horrendous, because not only is the cart larger than you, but the items are huge too, to the point where the cart will overflow once all the items are placed in, if you can get them in there, and you better hope the items won't just disappear when you try to place them in. The next Fear minigame is Fear Closet, which which is a simple parkour minigame. There's a bit of cup parkour involved near the beginning, but it isn't too bad. The paper airplanes can be a bit janky, but with good RNG, they should be fine. This grants the double jump power, which is the most useful of the 3 power-ups you can get. The final of the 3 is Fear School. This is just red light, green light, but the devs decided, hey, let's put an enemy that never toggles off and can still kill you while you're supposed to be moving. It isn't a huge deal, since again, with good RNG, you won't run into its path. This minigame grants the self-defense power, which is decently useful. Back to the house, you realistically aren't running into the neighbor that much due to the sheer size of this house, and it gets to a point where if you are caught, he'll just spam cameras around the house and immediately dart to your location. One puzzle that I did think was done very well though is the key card. There are multiple ways to solve this, but if you obtain a watering can, fill it with water and heat it on the stove, then pour that boiling water on the frozen key card, it will start to melt. That was very unique, and props to the dev for implementing that. Now the basement section is the same as Act 1's basement, except for the Shadow Man showing up at the beginning, in which you have to use the invisibility to hide from him as he passes. Then make it to the door and push the neighbor away and run through the maze, entering the game's act finale. I have nothing good to say about this act. It's just a mess that makes no sense. The puzzles are straightforward, I guess, but other than that, why include this? It isn't any better after you enter the house on top of the giant neighbor. The section after it is just stupid. You have to protect your younger self from the Shadow Man, but every hit you take makes you grow in size. I wonder how this could become a problem. This section just infuriates me and is stupid. At the end of it, you grow to the size of the Shadow Man and he just disappears after you confront him. And then the game takes you to a white space with the neighbor stuck inside a house. You go through the exit door and the game ends. This act feels unnecessary and the game could do better without it or just rework the entire thing. I don't even know, dog. I was up till 3 in the morning recording the background footage. Let's just get to the end of this. Thank you all for watching another video. If you stuck around to the end, please make sure to like and subscribe, as that would be greatly appreciated. I put a lot of time into these videos and I hope they're enjoyable. Thank you for watching, and as always, I hope to see you on the next one. Peace out, fellas.